Welcome to our Nemesis Pillow Crochet Along Part 1. We will be doing the 9 centers, the 9 circles, joining them together and putting the edging on in this Part 1 of the tutorial. In Part 2, we'll be building the back, and in Part 3, we will be joining them together. So grab what you're going to need. I used 6 different kinds of yarn and I mixed my textures. I used 2 craft yarns or worsted weight and 2 of these silver shine, some worsted weight chenille. I think it's similar to Bernat Baby, although I've never touched Bernat Baby. And then I wound up my own cake of just the regular craft yarn with a spectacular, slightly sparkly eyelash. I don't know if you can see. It's really pretty. So I mixed those 2 together and wound it up on my yarn ball winder to make a textured yarn. So those are the 6 that I am using. For my original red and pink cushion, I only used 5, but I couldn't bring it down. I couldn't throw one out. So this one is with 6 different colors. Up to you what you want to do, but get these ready. And I used a 5mm hook. You want to use a hook on the smaller side. So if you have a choice of go with a smaller hook that goes with your yarn. These ones are also thinner, so I used 2 strands of these at a time, which is why the balls are such a hot mess, because I went from the inside and the outside of both balls to crochet with them, to make it the same thickness. So get your yarns ready and let's begin. To make our Sunburst Granny Square, you're going to start by making a chain 4, so make a slip knot. You don't need to leave a long tail. Just make a slip knot and chain 4. There we go. So chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and just go into that first chain. It's hard to see with my yarn, but go into that first chain to make a ring. If you're not familiar how to do your slip knot and your chain stitch, I will link a video in the description box below. So chain 3, and I'm holding open the chain 4 with my finger and my thumb, so I know where the center is, and we're going to make 15 double crochets into the center of that ring. There's 1. To make your double crochet, you wrap your yarn, go into the center, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2, wrap your yarn and take off 2. I'll also link a video in the description box below for double crochet. 4. So keep going around until you have 15 double crochets and 16 including the chain 3 in the beginning. You also want to keep your stitches close together. I'm holding my thumb over here to keep my stitches on just like on half of the ring. You can also pinch your ring and push those stitches back if you need more room. When you have your 16 double crochets, you can just count them. Pull that up a bit by wiggling your finger in between your stitches. And you do count that chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So you're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. Slip stitch to join and chain 1. Now you're going to cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in. Ridiculous scissors, right? Gosh, I have another pair here. I should use those ones. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. So there is your starting wheel of 16 double crochets, and you went over your tail as you did your double crochets, so you can cut this one off. Great. Now you're going to get your next color. So for the row 2, I like to start just after where I joined. So I joined here, and I know it's hard to see with this super fluffy yarn, but you need to go into your stitches. So make sure you're in your stitch. You can tell if you pull up your hook, there's not a big space that opens. If you're in a space, you can like wiggle it and see a big space. So you do not want a space. You want to make sure you are in a stitch, and you want both strands of the V on your hook. And we're working over our tail, so that'll be even more difficult for you to see, but as long as you're doing it the way I say, yours will work out beautiful. So put a loop of yarn on your hook, bring it through and slip stitch with both to join. Drop your tail and pull that loop up for about 1/2 inch or 1 centimeter, yay big, a little bit like a finger. Wrap your yarn, go into the same stitch, grab your yarn and bring it back. So that's our second time. The first time counts as 1. This counts as our second. We need to do that 4 times in total. So wrap your yarn, go back into your stitch. That's our third. And one more time, wrap your yarn and go into your stitch, grab your yarn and bring it back, pull it up, wrap your yarn and take off all those loops on your hook and chain 1. So that is your first puff. Now working over your tails, so hold your tails along the back of your work. Make 1 puff stitch into the top of each double crochet. So make sure you go into the stitch, grab your yarn and bring it through, pull it up to the side, straight, like 12 o'clock, wrap your yarn again, go through, grab your yarn and bring it back, 12 o'clock, so that's our second wrap. Wrap your yarn and go through, grab your yarn and bring it back, 12 o'clock, that's our third wrap. Wrap your yarn and go through, grab your yarn and bring it back, pull it up, 12 o'clock, that is 4 wraps on our hook. Wrap your yarn, turn your hook down and pull it through and up and chain 1. If your yarn is snagging on your hook or you're having a hard time pulling through all those loops, change hooks, use a different hook that you have. I found for me clover works the best. That is just a fact for me, but up to you. But don't be thinking it's your yarn, really go and change your hooks. And I'll leave a link in the description box below if you want to go and grab a hook from Amazon. If you do, I would appreciate it. Wrap your yarn and we're going to go into the next stitch, which is here. So hard to see, I know. So 2 loops on the hook. Grab your yarn and bring it back, pull it up. Again, number 2, again, number 3, and again, number 4. So repeat that all the way along for a total of 16, 4 wraps of yarn per puff stitch. Will give a nice and puffy texture. If you're using a super fluffy yarn and you're doing puff stitches, you can just do 3 wraps. But if you're doing the regular worsted weight craft yarn, then you're going to want to do the 4 wraps. But if I was using the chenille, I just do 3 wraps with the chenille. So keep going all the way around. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, total of 16. I'll meet you back here for the join. And now to join, you're not joining to this side. You want to join to that first really tiny chain 1 at the top, how you close that first puff stitch. That's where you want to join. So slide your hook on in there and you're going to do a small slip stitch. So that means like pull your tension up, bring your yarn through, tip your hook and bring your yarn through and chain 1. Now you're going to cut your yarn You don't have to leave too much of a long tail because we're just going to weave it in, or go over it actually, and just pull that down to secure. So now you are ready for your next color. And you can just count, make sure you have your 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Good. So we're going to just be working in the spaces between these puff stitches. So just pick one of them, put your hook in. So put a loop of your new yarn on your hook, pull it through, chain 1 with both strands, drop your tail, lay that down along the side of your work, and chain 1 with your working yarn, your 1 strand. Now into that same space you are going to start but not finish 2 more double crochets. So wrap your yarn and go into the space, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2, leave those 2 loops on your hook, and start your third one. So wrap your yarn, go into that space, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2. So now you have 3 loops on your hook, wrap your yarn and take off all 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2. So we're going to be doing that between each of these spaces. So put your hook into the space, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2. So you've started 1 double crochet, start your second double crochet, wrap your yarn and take off 2, and start your third double crochet, wrap your yarn and take off 2. So now you have 4 loops on your hook because you still are working from this previous cluster, and these are called cluster stitches. Wrap your yarn and take off all 4 loops. Chain 2. Now you're going to do that in every space going all the way around, so a total of 16 times. So start your first double crochet, start your second double crochet, and start your third double crochet, wrap your yarn, take off all 4 loops, and chain 2. So work your way all the way around doing the same thing, and I will meet you at the join. At the end of the row you've done your 16 clusters all the way around, and you've finished your last cluster and done your chain 2, same as always. Now you're going to do the same thing. You are going to slip stitch, not to the top of the cluster, but that really tiny little chain, that guy, so kind of way over there. The first small one. So get your tension up because you want to just kind of do it small, and just slip stitch to join and chain 1. Cut your yarn, pull your hook up and your yarn through, and tighten that down to secure. So now you have finished the center for your Sunburst Granny Square. You're going to want to do this 9 times. You need 9 of these for the front of your cushion. When you have your 9 centers finished, you can decide which order you want to have them in, which one do you want in the center. Tough call. I think maybe I'll put that guy in the middle actually. So I'm going to do something like this. You can still change how you're going to do it in the future. You can move your things around so you're happy with them. Maybe I'll go like that. Something. So we're just going to start. I'm going to start with the one in the top corner, and I'm pretty sure I want this one in the top corner, and I'm pretty sure I want that one in the bottom corner to balance it out, and these 2 in the other corners, because the chunky yarn makes the diameter a little bit bigger, so these squares will be a little bit bigger. Not too much, but I'm going to have big ones in the corners, littler ones everywhere else. You don't totally have to worry about your ends, but of course you're welcome to work them in. I would never say no to that. So I'm going to take, and what you can also do now, if you want to be smart, is get your phone and take a picture. Because you'll always forget how you want. There we go. So I have a nice picture on my phone of how my layout was. So you can always go back to that and figure out, like you'll remember how you want it to be. So that's finished. I'm going to start with this one, and I'm just going to pack these up like that and move them up there and start with this one. So now we're going to make this circle into a square that we can join. So you pick a yarn that you have not yet used for your circle. I'm going to use this super bright yellow, this lemon. I put my hook in a little bit before my join so I can go over that tail as I work. So just put your hook in to that spot and put a loop of yarn onto your hook. Bring it through, slip stitch with both to join, drop your tail, and now chain 3 more. 1, 2, 3. If you joined your yarn in a different way, you're going to want to chain 4. Because this slip stitch and chain 3 counts as a treble crochet, so you need to chain up for a treble crochet. So wrap your yarn twice, put your hook back into that spot, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2, wrap your yarn and take off 2, wrap your yarn and take off 2. So that is our first treble crochet, and I'm going over my tail. I'm just holding it at the back of my work so I can go over it. Wrap your yarn twice again, and 1 more treble crochet into that spot. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So that counts as 3 treble crochets. Still going over your tail, you're going to make 3 double crochets into the next spot. So 1, 2, and 3. Into the next spot, half double, so wrap your yarn and take off all 3 loops, half double crochet. You're making 3 of them, and then holding your tail down. Now we're going to go over that one as well, and we can drop this other tail. So now we're going to be making 3 double crochets into the next space. 1, 2, and 3, and still going over that tail. Into the next spot we're going to make a corner. So corners are 3 treble crochets, so wrap your yarn twice. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, push those stitches back so you get some more space in that corner, and 3 more treble crochets into the same spot. 1, 2, and 3. So that just made a nice little corner for us to go around. Into the next spot we're going to do our double crochets, so 3 double crochets into the next spot. And into the next space, 3 half doubles. Oh, I got a thread. Into the next space, 3 doubles. And into the next space we're going to do a corner. So corners are 3 treble crochets. And a chain 2. Push the stitches back, and 3 more treble crochets into the same space to finish off our corner. Like that. And now we're just going to keep going around the whole one. So the next space is double crochets, 3 double crochets, and 3 half double crochets into the center one, and 3 doubles into the next, and a corner. So 3 treble crochets. Remember to wrap your yarn twice. Chain 2, push your stitches back, and 3 more treble crochets into the same space. So now we have almost all of our corners done. Now we'll just finish off this side. So you just alternate, you do tall stitches and then you work down to short and then back up to tall. So this is double crochet, 3 double crochet in this next spot, and then 3 half doubles. That's taking off all 3. And then double crochet again, 3 double crochet. And then wrap your yarn twice, move those stitches over, and 3 double crochet to finish off that corner where we started. 1, 2, and 3. So cute. So now we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and slip stitch to the top of that chain 4, slip stitch, and then do a chain 1. We're going to cut our yarn and pull your hook up and your loop out and snug that down to secure. Now your end, your tail, you're just going to work it back across this corner. So grab it and bring it back just through the back loops of your 3 stitches across your corner. I actually go for 4 stitches. And then skip a stitch and put your hook in from the underside, grab that tail and pull it to the back. So now when you're working over that corner, you're going to work over it twice and you can just cut it off. The height of laziness, but you're of course welcome to do your tails however you like. So that is our first square we're going to join to, so I'm going to put that up and get my next circle that I'm going to be working on and figure out what color I'm going to join to it. So I'm going to pick a color that I haven't used and not the same color as anything that it's touching. So we're going to do the same thing for this one. Just put your hook in a few spaces before your join and put a loop on your hook. Bring it through, slip stitch with both to join, drop your tail, and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. So that counts as your first treble crochet. Wrap your yarn twice and 2 treble crochets into the same spot. So we're going to start each square that we're going to join. We're going to join as you go, but we're going to start, you have to do one side on your new square before you start joining. So double crochet into the next spot. Oh, there we are. And I'm going over my tail, half double into the next, double into the next, whoops, there we go, and pulling that tail down, we're going to do half of a corner in this one, so 3 treble crochets, 1, 2, 3. What's my tail there? To the back. Chain 1, and we're going to get our square, and I put the one I'm joining on top. And now you're just going to take your hook and put your hook down inside that corner space of the hook of the square that you're joining to. So put your hook down inside underneath, put your yarn on your hook, bring it through to the top, and slip stitch to join. And now you're going to finish that corner. So you chained 1 and slip stitch, so that's still 2 stitches. Now you're going to wrap your yarn twice and finish your 3 treble crochets into the corner space of the block you are joining. That's 2 trebles. Here's our third. Lay everything back down and make sure you're going into the right side. You have your pretty side up for your square. Now take your hook and put it down inside the next space, so in between your trebles and your doubles. Grab your yarn and bring it back. It's a bit tricky, you got to keep some tension on your hook, and then turn your hook and pull it through to slip stitch. Now into your next space you're doing your double crochets, so 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And put your hook down into the next space, so between your doubles and your half doubles. Just put it down into your work, grab your yarn and bring it up and slip stitch to join. Now you're going to do half doubles. So when I'm doing my stitches, I just let this other block flip around. I just ignore it, pretend it's not there. So 1 double, 2 doubles, 3 doubles, and then lay everything back down so it's behaving, and go into the next spot, so in between the half doubles and the doubles. Grab your yarn and bring it up. Get your tension sorted out, turn your hook and slip stitch to join. Into the next spot, double crochet, so 3 double crochet into the next spot. Lay everything down so it's behaving. Put your hook down into the next spot, so that's after your doubles and before your trebles. And if you look, you can see your petal is touching into that area. Hook down into your work, grab your yarn and bring it up. Turn your hook, slip stitch to join. And into the next spot, we're going to start our corner. So 3 treble crochets. 1, 2, 3. So chain 1 and put your hook into this corner space. So put your hook down inside. Grab your yarn, keeping some tension any which way you can, and slip stitch to join. Now wrap your yarn twice, pull these stitches back so you get a little bit of space in that corner, and 3 treble crochets to finish the corner. 1, 2, and 3. So now we're just going to finish going around this circle to turn it into a square, and I'll meet you over here. Whoop. I'll meet you over here when we join. To join, chain 2, go into that chain 4, 2 loops on your hook, slip stitch to join, chain 1, cut your yarn, pull your hook up and your yarn through, snug that down, and now you're going to want to weave in this tail so you don't have to do too much sewing later, if any. So poke it forward, stretch it, skip a stitch, hook in from the underside, grab your yarn and pull it through. So that one's ready. So now you have 2 squares joined and you have a nice flat straight edge. So this is my next one. So I'm joining in a row. I'm doing 3 across and then we're going to start joining 3 under. 1, 1, 1. So get your next circle and you're going to do one side the same way, and I'll meet you at the next corner. So I've got to my corner. I'm going to chain 1 and get my work. Where is this tail going? Tail's going that way. So I put the block I'm joining above where I'm working, and I join into it. And again, make sure that your pretty side is facing up. So take your hook and put it down into that corner of the square you're joining, and grab your yarn any which way you can. Bring it up, keep tension, and a tight little slip stitch to join. Wrap your yarn twice and still going over your tails, 3 treble crochets into the circle you're joining. 1, 2, and 3. Put your hook down into the next space, down into your work, grab your yarn and bring it back, slip stitch to join, and 3 double crochets into the next space. Put your hook down into the next space on top of that petal into the big opening. Grab your yarn and bring it back. Slip stitch to join and half doubles into the next spot. So 3 half doubles. I put my work back down so I can see where I'm going, and I put my hook into the next spot, down into my work, grab my yarn and bring it through, slip stitch to join, 3 double crochets in the next space of the circle I'm joining. Lay my work down. Hook into the next space over in between the doubles and the trebles, grab my yarn and bring it up, slip stitch to join, wrap your yarn twice and 3 treble crochets into the next space to start your corner. Chain 1, get everything laying down nice again. Put your hook down into that corner of the square you're joining to. Grab your yarn and bring it back up through, slip stitch to join. Wrap your yarn twice and 3 more double crochets into that corner space. 1, 2, and 3. So now you're just going to finish this square off, and I will meet you after we have joined. Remember to work that tail around that corner again, so you don't have to sew it in later. Like that. So we have 3 sunbursts joined, so 1 row of our pillow. Now let's get our next circle ready. So I have my next block ready to go, or my next circle, and I've done the one side. So I finished my 3 trebles. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to put my hook, I'm joining it to this yellow block, so we're going to work along the row. And I'm just going to put my hook down into the corner of the square that's kitty corner to where I'm joining. So I'm going to start by going into this blue corner, and that just gives us a better join. Grab your yarn and bring it up. And now I'm also going to go down into this yellow square that I'm actually joining to. So go down into that one also and bring up your yarn. Turn your hook and slip stitch to join. Wrap your yarn twice, and now you're going to finish your corner on the square that you're working on, or the circle you're working on. So 3 treble crochets into that same corner. Get your work all behaving again. Put your hook down into that next space. Grab your yarn and bring it up. Slip stitch to join. Wrap your yarn and 3 double crochets into the next spot, the next space. 2 and 3. Get everything laying down again. Put your hook down into the next space of the square you're joining to. Slip stitch to join, and 3 half doubles into the next space of the circle you are turning into a square. Get everything laying down again. Put your hook down into the next space over, grab your yarn and bring it up, turn your hook, slip stitch to join, and 3 double crochets into the next space. 1, 2, and 3. Everything laying down again. Put your hook down into the next space in between the doubles and the trebles. Get your yarn on your hook, bring it up and slip stitch to join. Now you're going to do your corner, so 3 treble crochets into the circle that you are turning into a square. 1, 2, and 3. Get everything laying down again. Put your hook, chain 1, forgot that one. And put your hook down into the corner space of the square you're joining to. Grab your yarn and bring it up and slip stitch to join. Now I can kind of turn our work a bit. We're just going to finish this corner here with 3. You can pull your stitches back if you need more space. And now you can see we have a nice join starting here and a nice flat join here. So just finish this square and get your next one ready and I'll meet you back. So the first side of the next circle is ready to start joining, and we're going to join in this spot here. So we're going to do our corner join and we're going to join the same way here. We're going to start by going into this the corner that's opposite, the kitty corner, or this green one here, and I'm joining under here. So go into this one that's opposite, grab your yarn and bring it up, and then go into the one that you're going to be joining to, into the corner. grab your yarn and bring it up, turn your hook and, oops, get your yarn back. Turn your hook and slip stitch through both of those to join. Wrap your yarn twice and we'll finish our corner. So that's the 3 treble crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Get your work laying down again. Put your hook down into the next space. Grab your yarn and bring it up. Slip stitch to join. Now you're doing 3 of your double crochets into the next space of your circle. 2, 3. Lay everything down. Put your hook down into the next space over. Bring your yarn up and slip stitch to join. Oh my gosh, that's too loud. Wrap your yarn into the next space of your circle, 3 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Lay your work down, put your hook down into the next space, grab your yarn and bring it through, slip stitch to join. 3 double crochets in the next spot. 2, 3. Lay your work down. Put your hook down into the next spot. Grab your yarn and bring it up. Slip stitch to join. Now we're going to be doing our corner. So wrap your yarn twice and 3 treble crochets into this corner space without dropping your yarn. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, lay your work out again. So now these are all joined nice and tight. Now we're just going to join once straight over into the opposite corner. So when you're doing a 2-sided corner, you're just going to join once into the opposite corner. So, and you want to do a small join. So keep a nice loop on your hook, put it down into the opposite corner. Find a way to get that yarn on your hook and bring it up and slip stitch to join. Turn your work a little bit. Now you're going to wrap your yarn twice and finish this corner. So that is 3 treble crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space over here, put your hook down, grab your yarn, bring it up, slip stitch to join, 3 double crochets into the next space. 1, 2, 3. Lay everything down. This yarn is fuzzy, so it's hard to see, but you can wiggle your fingers to see where that petal connects into the space. Put your hook down, bring your yarn through, slip stitch to join. Next one's half doubles. 1. I always try to do the first one a bit snug after the join, just so you don't get any big stitches. Lay everything back down into the next space. Slip stitch to join. Wrap your yarn. And 3 double crochets. 2, 3. Lay everything down. Wiggle your fingers to find the next spot if you have a bulky yarn. Hook down, grab your yarn, bring it back, slip stitch to join, wrap your yarn twice, and we're going to start our corner. So 3 treble crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and slip stitch into this corner space. Bring the yarn up, through, turn your work. Now we're just going to finish this side, chain 2, fasten off, and you're going to get your next circle ready to join here. So now I have the first edge done on my next circle, and we're going to be joining it in this area. So we're going to start joining over here. So I've done my 3 treble crochets and my chain 1. I'm just going to put my hook down into that space, grab my yarn and bring it back, slip stitch to join, wrap your yarn twice, and finish that corner. So that's 3 treble crochets. And you know how to do this part. I'll just zoom ahead and meet you here. So now in the corner, I've done my 3 trebles, my chain 1. I'm just going to go into the opposite corner, into that space opposite where I'm joining. Grab my yarn from under, bring it up, and slip stitch to join. Wrap your yarn twice, keeping your tension, and finish your corner with your 3 treble crochets. So that's all there is to joining. I'm just going to finish this side, finish this, joining this circle or turning the circle into a square, and then I have my last 3 to go down here. I'm going to start in the same way that we did with this one, kitty corner, and then this one across, finish the square. Maybe I'll do this one with you, and then you know how to do these other 2. So I'll meet you when we're joining down here. So I've done the first side of this circle, and we're joining under this one. So we're going to put the first slip stitch, where we're going to start our join by going into the 1 kitty corner. So I'm going to put my hook down into this one, grab my yarn and bring it up, and I have really strong tension on my yarn, and down into the corner where I'm going to be joining. Grab the yarn, both strands of the yarn please. Grab the yarn and bring it up, and then turn your hook and slip stitch through both of those to join. Wrap your yarn twice to make a treble crochet, and keep your tension because you want this first stitch to be not big. You don't want too much yarn on it. And there's our first treble. So now you just finish this side. So our 9 squares are joined now, and we're just going to put an edge to finish up this front panel. So get your yarn that you're going to be using to join. I am going to be using just this turquoise, this dark turquoise. It is the same as my fuzzy one, but without the eyelash with it, just so you can see the stitches. If I wasn't doing a tutorial, I would just use this fuzzy one, but that might be hard for you to see, and there's a couple things we need to do. So we're going to start by joining our yarn into a corner space. So get a loop of your yarn ready and put your hook into the corner space, making sure you're still going over that tail. Put the loop on your hook, bring it through, and slip stitch with both to join. Drop your tail and chain 2. So this counts as a chain 3 and also as your first double crochet. Make 1 more double crochet into that corner space. and then one into each stitch going along your work. So into this first stitch, it looks a bit funny because it's your chain from the previous row, but I just go into that hole and make a double crochet. And the next one, you kind of pick up that front loop and make a double crochet. And now you just keep on doing regular double crochets until we get to our first join. I will meet you there. So I've gone into my last double crochet, and now I'm in my corner space. So I'm gonna do one double crochet into the corner space, like regular. And I'm going to start my second double crochet into that space, wrap your yarn and take off 2, but leave it on your hook. So you're not finishing that one. And then start your second double crochet, or start another double crochet into the space on the other side of the join. So now you're going to do your start your double crochet, 3 loops on your hook, wrap your yarn and take off all 3. So that combined 1 double crochet from each side into 1 stitch up top. So wrap your yarn and 1 more double crochet into the corner space. Okay, so your join looks like that. Now into your chain, you need to make a double crochet. So I poke it into that hole spot, and then your next one, pick up that front loop to make a double crochet, and now keep going all the way to the next join. So go into your last double crochet before the join, 1 double crochet into the corner space, start your second double crochet but don't finish it, leave those last 2 loops on your hook, start another double crochet on the other side of the join into the next corner space, and then finish those 2 double crochets together. So wrap your yarn and take off all 3 loops, and 1 more double crochet into that corner space. So that just made our corner space, it turned 4 stitches into 3 stitches. So that's how you jump across these joins. Now I'll meet you at the corner. So I've gone into my last double crochet. In the corner, I'm going to do 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, a chain 2. My yarn is being so difficult. I don't know why. Just starting a new ball. Okay. Chain 2. Rotate your work a little bit, and 2 more double crochets, 1 and 2. Now we're going to work our way back along this side, making 1 double crochet into each stitch. So make sure you go into this first one, so that double crochet gets a double crochet, and all the way across to the join. At the join, go into your last stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the first corner of it, and start your second double crochet. Don't finish it, leave it on your hook. Go into the next corner space, start your second double crochet, leave it on the hook, wrap your yarn and finish both together. So take off all 3 loops, and 1 more double crochet into that corner space. So that counts as 2 double crochets into each corner, but 3 at the top. So it looks the same as your other corners, but your stitch count stays nice. So keep working your way all the way around. I'll show you 1 more corner when we get there. And sometimes your work will look like this. See how my corner has just taken over this stitch? You can't see it, but if that happens to you, like if you put your finger in between the 3, you can only see the 2 stitches at the top. So you know you have to push those stitches back a bit to get your hook in to that stitch that's hiding. So make sure you get into that first double crochet after the join. If you have to push your stitches back a bit, go for it, because we want your stitch count to be the same. It'll help a lot when we're joining. So I've gone into my last stitch. So 2 double crochet into the corner space, chain 2, rotate your work, 2 more double crochets into that corner space, oh, well that explains why I'm fighting with my yarn. There's a weird ball stuck inside. Aye. Okay, well that's finished. I wonder if it's enough to get around my pillow. Alright, so now 1 into each stitch. This one's not hiding, it's sitting out there nicely, so that's easy. So now I'll meet you when we're going to join this round. So I've gone into my last double crochet. So into the corner, I'm going to do just 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. And that's it for this row. So I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn my work a tiny bit, and I'm going to slip stitch to the top of this chain to join. So just slip stitch, chain 1 again, and cut your yarn, pull your hook up and your yarn through, and pull that down to secure. Now this tail you could also just weave into your back loops, or we can just go over it straight when we join it to our back. So this is our pillow front finished. You can see it's still a bit weird in the joins, but when we join it together, that'll pull these seams out and it'll make them really nice and crisp. So don't worry about that. It's going to get tugged this way and it's going to get tugged that way. So it's going to be great. Now let's start the back. I'll put a link for the video in the description box below. So this is part 1. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and share, and stay hooked.